Dear MK,
Can you help me?
oh my god, you'll never believe what happened.
I need advice.
Thank you, MK.
Welcome to the Dear MK podcast.
She's just recording. If you want to say, like, welcome back, I can take it from there.
Okay. Welcome back to Dear MK.
This week we wanted to do the communication Bible. We said, like, an episode, textbook, anytime someone's having communication issues in the relationship, they don't know what's healthy, they don't know how to communicate, like, this is the episode to send people to refer back to, because I feel like I've been in a few situations now where someone's explaining something to me, and especially, like, over text. Like, I'm in college right now, I have friends at home, all of my roommates have, like, siblings and friends at home, so it's like we're hearing about these issues, but they're all super spread out and far away, and it's like, oh my god, I wish I had just, like, one episode where I can be like, just listen to this,
Yeah.
and your problems are gonna be solved.
I love that.
So we're going through all the forms of healthy, unhealthy. We'll probably start with unhealthy, I think, and then, or maybe bit by bit, like, talk about what's unhealthy and then talk about how to have, like, a more positive form of that conversation. So we're just gonna see where it takes us.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of forms of unhealthy, so I feel like that will work. And definitely one of the most common, gaslighting.
For anyone who doesn't know, gaslighting is when the person you're having a conversation with is literally making you feel like you're crazy. Like, they're provoking you to feel like you initiated the problem that's at hand, and it's like, that could be saying you're oversensitive.
Right.
Or being like, literally lying to you and saying, like, no, I never said that if it's something they said, or no, I never did that if it's something they did. I feel like this is so common, especially in relationships that involve a lot of emotional manipulation.
Yeah, definitely. It's making you question yourself. Like, questioning your memory, your perception, even your feelings, and, like, that's, I think, the most toxic form of it, or, like, the worst version of gaslighting is when someone makes you question your feelings, because that's not even something that you're just, like, remembering. You're like, wait, do I not feel this way? Like, how would you know how I feel? But I think that happens all the time.
So frequently. The textbook, like, definition, like, I'm pretty sure if you look it up in the dictionary, it says it makes you question your own sanity.
Yeah.
Which is, like, you're literally, like, you literally feel like you're going crazy in this situation, because I think invalidation has a lot to do with it, too. Like, gaslighting is a lot of, like, well, you're just being really sensitive about that. Like, I didn't mean it that way. You know I didn't mean it that way. So why are you taking it that way? And it's like, that's just
perfect.
Thank you. I promise I don't do that. But that's just, like, it's completely invalidating your feelings, and it's like almost picking up the blame off the other person and letting them, like, drop it onto you.
Totally. I feel like it's even just like, oh, you're just being sensitive. Like, no way you're upset right now. Like, stop. You're just being sensitive. And I would get that one all the time.
I got that too. I got that a lot, like, growing up, I feel like, too. I feel like I was always told, like, oh, you're just really sensitive. And I was like,
me too, honestly, now that I think about it. Not necessarily from my parents, but, like, just people.
Yeah. I put something on the story today, and did you see it? It was
I
like,
did see it.
Oh, like, someone says I'm being too sensitive, like, God forbid a girl's emotionally intelligent. I feel like that's really true.
It is really true, and it kind of goes back to, like, any conversation that we have around these things, because it's like, just because something's, like, a little taboo or not everyone talks about it doesn't mean, like, it doesn't exist, or, like, you can't have, like, feelings around it.
Something I think to get out of the way very early in this episode, anything you're feeling is gonna be valid. Like, if you feel like something upset you, there's no reason to say to yourself, okay, well, should I be upset about that? If you feel upset, even if you can't explain why, that's valid. And I feel like that was a big issue for me, at least when I was dealing with emotional abuse and manipulation. I felt like I didn't have, like, a concrete X happened and it made me upset. I just knew I was feeling that way. And then I tried to bring it up, but didn't know how to communicate that, because it's like, it was all these subtle little jabs, and again, gaslighting. And it's like, you can't identify that when you're in the moment most of the time. So I'm just like, I'm not feeling good. And then he's like, well, there's no reason for you to not be feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I can't think of a reason why I'm not feeling good because all those
Right.
instances of like manipulation are so small that you can't pinpoint it.
Right. It is important too to remember that manipulation can be subtle or overt, but most times in abusive relationships that are like mentally, emotionally abusive, they're always going to be subtle. And gaslighting is like one of the most subtle ways of manipulating someone because it is just like you can say something in such a caring manner that someone really does question like how that made them feel. So like if you're saying this in a nice tone to me, you're telling me like you love me and that things are okay, but then like at the same time and in the same sentence saying, yeah, you're like your feelings aren't valid or like, no, that's so crazy, like you're being too sensitive, whatever it is. So you kind of just like almost feel like you do have to forget about the second piece that they said and only listen to the positive. And I think a lot of people also like are looking for the positives in their relationship, as especially if you're like holding on to like little bits of hope.
Yeah.
So it's like that is just one of the most common like things you'll have. And also in these moments, I feel like we also really describe walking on eggshells and like those little gut feelings where you just like know something's off, but yeah, you might not have words to say it because you also might not know you're in an abusive or unhealthy relationship in the first place. So it's like if you're living with a constant feeling like that, it's so hard to explain.
When you said walking on eggshells, I was already thinking of the fact that sometimes gaslighting can happen in terms of the other person's emotions. So it's like you get basically mentally trained to the point where you know the other person's going to react in a certain way. So gaslighting doesn't always have to be like you're crazy, that didn't happen, wasn't real.
Yeah.
A lot of times it can kind of go hand in hand with like victim blaming. So like if your abuser is like saying, "Oh, well, like you don't understand how much this hurt me. Like this was such a big deal and you don't even realize it," and they can, kind of spin or twist things in their own way. I'm trying to think of
I would call that guilt tripping.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the term I was looking for.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of an example, but it's like
Well, I feel like guilt tripping is like the after everything I've done for you, or the like you really don't want to stay with me, like you really want to go see your friends, but like we have so much fun together.
I was thinking
Those kinds.
just the go out with your friends example. It's like, or it can be, yeah, you can go out with your friends. I'm just gonna stay home by myself. Like, oh, just like
yeah.
do homework and go to bed early, even though it's a Friday, like whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck off. Like it's the kind of thing where they try to make you feel like your actions are so hurtful to them, and then you immediately think, okay, I'm the person in the wrong.
Yeah, when you're doing normal things.
Yes.
Like spending time with friends or going to school or work or whatever it is, your passions and hobbies. Like that's usually what it is.
I used to get can't you just like skip the gym for like one day? Or it's
Exactly.
like why don't you skip class? Like I'm gonna be here, like I know you're really stressed. We could just like hang out and like relax and it would be fine. And I'm the kind of person where it's like if I skip class I'm gonna be a million more times stressed about the fact that I skipped class. Same if I'm like not going to the gym, breaking my routine, whatever it is. But it's like they're gonna position things to make it sound like what's best for them is also what's best for you, and then act like you're crazy or stupid for not thinking that way.
Exactly. I'm just like hearing in my head like past things people have said to me and they're like, I guess it's just more important than me. Like I didn't realize I was last on your list. Like,
I would always choose spending time with you over seeing other people, but like if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. That's like
I can't. But in that moment, like you do feel so awful. Like you feel like scum on their shoe. Like or is it scum of the earth? What's that term?
You can
I don't know the term.
We need a like a little textbook of all the terms you've made up because we
do.
were like instead of sunshine and rainbows, what was it? Peaches and rainbows.
Like rainbows and butterflies. No, that's the right term. Whatever.
Stop.
I know I do that a lot. But yeah, it's like when you're thinking of guilt tripping, especially in unhealthy relationships, and especially if you are the victim, I feel like they use your empathy.
Oh yeah,
Like they
100%.
know that XYZ will kind of make you like crumble or like give in to them. So like they'll use your like softer, like sensitive spots with the guilt tripping.
Yeah. Another a good example of this that someone was telling me they were dealing with recently was like when people are too busy. So it's like, say you got in an argument, but the other person has a really full week. They have a super busy schedule. If
Mhm.
you're in a serious relationship and this argument is affecting your daily well-being, like you don't feel like your life is functional right now because you're in an argument with your partner, and I understand people being busy, but if that other person can't make time for you,
Oh, like saying like they started an argument but like didn't get to finish it because they don't have time to sit down and have a
yeah,
conversation. Okay.
I think there's always time for a conversation. Like
Yeah.
everybody lives a busy life, and I understand some more than others, but I think prolonging an argument or that kind of situation is another way of guilt tripping and being like, well, you know how much I have on my plate, and it's
Mm,
like I just I don't have time, and I think like
yeah.
blowing the other person off and acting like it's not a priority for you is really just like toxic.
Especially too, yeah, if they're thinking like, oh, the longer I hold this out, the worse they'll feel, and then maybe by the end they'll give in to me, like
Exactly.
that kind of vibe. I agree. I think that there's always time for important conversations, and I also understand that like we've talked about timing, tone, turf before in our last like how to have conversations with your bestie. But that I think that's so true because sometimes people are like, well, I the only time I have is right before bed or the only time I have is right before work. It might be something like that. But I do think it's true. Like if you love this person and it is a healthy relationship, you also neither person should want to go days without like resolving this
Exactly.
and resolving this,
Exactly.
and you can also say like, okay, well, like how about you wake up a little bit earlier and then like we have the conversation and maybe you have time to go to the gym or
Time to
something.
process before you
Yeah,
go to work or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or the opposite, like what if we met up right like after work, like could you make sure like the end of your day is like a little less crazy, or could you like decompress in the car ride home? Like is there a way that you could take care of yourself before and after a conversation, even if it's just like for a few minutes? I think that's so doable.
Exactly. And everybody has like their own kind of bounce back time.
Mhm.
Like I need to sit on something for maybe like 10 minutes, gather my thoughts, and then I'm ready to have a conversation. My
Yeah.
boyfriend's probably more like 45 minutes an hour, like really
Right.
needs to think about it before he can kind of gather just what he wants to say. And it's like, that's obviously different than putting something off. Because if
Mhm.
some people are in need to sleep on it, some people are like, this has to be solved before I go to bed. I'm one of
Yeah,
those
I
people,
am too.
and I honestly don't think I could ever be in a relationship with someone who was a I need to sleep on it.
I
I
know.
don't think that would work for me.
And
Just
that's like great self-awareness, and I think if that's a situation you find yourself in often, like maybe it just doesn't work.
yeah, I mean, I think adapting to your partner is one thing, but if you have vastly different communication styles that just like make you constantly butt heads, like,
Like that's hard
and
to.
that's not the kind of thing you can ask of another person to change
Right.
either. Like you both are going to have a little bit of wiggle room, but if you like can't have this conversation till the morning, I'd never sleep. I'd be miserable
Mhm.
for days. I'd hold it against you and we'd be fighting
Yeah.
all the time. And I know that. And I know I could never function in a relationship like
And
that.
I love that you know that. I feel like this actually also goes back to the let them theory that I talked about last week,
Mhm.
because it's like, okay, what can you control here and what can't you control? Like you can totally work on your communication style. I think that every single person, including myself, always has room for improvement
Yeah.
on their forms of communication. But can you change like the way somebody processes information and like the times that they're ready? That might not be as easy for someone. So it's like, okay, if you can't control that piece, is this something you can live with? And if it's not something you can live with, then that might just not be the right person for you.
Yeah, I think that has to go with like tone and language
Mhm.
too. In my last relationship when we argued, we like yelled. And
Yeah.
I was definitely
Same.
aggressive. Like, I was definitely mean. We've talked about this before. Like, when you're in a toxic relationship like that, it
You
feels
just like
great to
meet
be mean.
them. Yeah.
So it's like they're yelling at you, you're screaming, fuck you, and it's like that felt amazing because you get this like cathartic release from it. But now that I'm in a healthy relationship, I think if he was really expressive and like yelled when he was angry, I don't think I could do that because I am not that kind of person in my nature, and the times I have been that kind of person because that's the situation I was in, I hated it and I didn't feel good about myself. And I can see that some people can be naturally like that. I mean,
yeah, some people that is like, I feel like I've seen couples that do just yell at each other and then they're like totally fine.
yeah, like sometimes like I think there's some people that just need to get heated
Yeah.
and be like, I don't like well you did that. Well, I don't like that you did that. And like, well, fine. And then it's like, okay.
Right, it is style, and it's like maybe some people, maybe a couple does like raise their voice, but they're still saying things like in a respectful manner, but that's just the way that they communicate and like that's their tone. And it's like if that is how both partners work, it wouldn't feel like a unequal kind of power dynamic. But if one partner is screaming and the other is like still in a calm tone, I feel like that can feel very triggering. And it's like, that's where it's like, can you change this communication style? Or is this naturally like absolutely how you have to do it? And if so, you have to find someone else that probably like matches that energy so that they don't feel as though you're putting them down. Because I think it's like, I want to say it is okay if that person doesn't feel a type of way about it. Like,
I agree.
Because,
or like if that person knows they do the same thing when they feel that way.
That's what I'm saying. Because it's like if it's always one person, like yelling is aggressive.
Yes.
So it's like if you're being aggressive with someone that feels very uncomfortable by that and they don't get aggressive, then like that just feels very unhealthy and like not okay. Like I'm someone that if you did yell at me, that would feel very triggering.
Yeah.
In a relationship specifically, like I don't raise my voice in this relationship, but I've definitely raised my voice in past relationships where it's like, yeah, well, I'm being screamed at, and like for a while I would stay quiet, but then it's like we've talked about this. Once you start getting the like, I don't like you, or like the ick with someone, you're like, I now kind of lose like my sense of self. So I'll match your energy and I'll be a bitch too.
Yeah.
So like that, but when it gets to a point like that is absolutely not healthy either. But yeah, I feel like it's only like today you would have to like be on, I'm seeing you on the streets and you're, coming for me in some way. That's the only way I'm like defending myself.
I just have so many thoughts. I feel like the the way you're arguing being reciprocated can also be another way you're gaslit. That happened to me frequently, and it made you think it. What you said made me think about that because I was thinking back to times where it's like I'd be getting yelled at. I'd start to raise my voice, and it'd be like, "Why are you yelling at me?
Right.
Why do you feel like you can
Oh
talk
my
to me
god,
like
that would
that?"
happen to me all
And
the
I'm
time.
like, are we not living the same situation right now? I'm like, you did, and then I'm like, you've been yelling at me the whole time, and it's like, no, I haven't. Like, I've literally just been talking to you just like this, like the tone immediately changes, and then he's like, no, I've literally been like this the whole time, and I'm like, no, you haven't.
I feel like I see that all the time on reality TV too. And you're like, oh, when they watch this back, like, oh, when they see they already had their voice like that. No, that's a really good example though as well because yeah, it really can be like in any form of the conversation, like yeah, the content, the tone, like the feelings. You can be gaslit in like a million ways
about anything, and I mean, it's important to know when the conversation kind of crosses the line. So it's like if you are having a conversation and it turns into that like really aggressive screaming, if they're getting in your face, a really common form of physical violence is like proximity violence. So like they'll throw something at the wall, they'll hit the wall, and you're like, oh, but they've never hit me, they've never tried to hit me, but it's like, have they come close enough to physically threaten you? That's it.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that alone is an intimidation tactic. One of my, oh my god, I'm gonna have to remember. Wait, before I even move forward right now, let me find my old list. Red flag Ronnie. We haven't used our code names as much this season as I thought we would.
I
I'm like,
know.
now I forget their code name. Anyways, red flag Ronnie would always do this to me. So he literally threw a dog crate like to the wall next to me, but it was like basically that could have hit me. I was right there. He would take like everything. Like one time we had a dinner table set. Mind you, he plans this dinner. All my favorite foods, like there's so much Italian food. He had got me a gift. This is all an apology, by the way.
A gift?
Oh, it's jewelry.
Sorry. Like he was proposing.
It wasn't. I don't know why I did that. It came in one of those boxes, but it was like
more like a.
It was on the table, like open. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like literally describing them. Whatever. He got angry and like literally everything on the table went on the ground, and all I was thinking on that moment, honestly, was like I wanted those leftovers. Because actually, at that point, that was our breakup. That was our breakup because I, at that point, knew like I don't deserve this. So I found these things kind of like funny because I was like, I don't think you're actually.
I love when that.
Yeah, I was like, you're actually throwing a temper tantrum, and I find this hilarious. But there were times before where like, no, that really scared me, and
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was going to escalate. But it is like when someone does that, and then they come back at you too and say like, well, I was never gonna hit you. Like I clearly hit the wall instead.
I didn't know that.
No, it creates fear within you, and also it does just, now you're thinking, well, could this escalate further? They clearly have it in them to be aggressive and to be like that's violence, even if it doesn't hit you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really glad you brought that up. Another one, just passive aggression. Passive aggression. So I feel like it kind of like it feels like the gaslighting.
Yeah.
But you could also, it's fine. Whatever.
It's okay.
It's fine.
It was the okay, I'm just gonna go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just gonna go to bed. It's 5 p.m. We just got in a huge fight. I'm like, I have homework, I'm sorry. It's fine, I'm just gonna go to bed. And I'm like,
or it's like,
no,
fine,
we're not.
fine, go out with your friends, have fun. Have fun. That's what I would get all the time. And then he'd be like, I'm not gonna talk to you. Like I'm just not gonna talk to you all night. And then the second I go out, it was like spam text. Hope you're having fun. Okay. Thank you.
All right, I'm trying. Stop texting.
It's like, hope you're having fun.
I feel like this one's kind of tough for me because I feel like my entire relationship. I'm talking about George Bush. I'm always talking about George Bush. I'll let you guys know if there's ever a time where I'm not talking about it and it's someone else, but it probably won't be. I feel like the entire thing was passive aggressive, and it was just like every little thing, like nothing could be done without it being a problem.
Yes.
And we had the good day, bad day conversation a lot where it's like, oh, we were having such a good day. Why did this have to happen? Why did we have to get into an argument? Why did we have to fight? Like, we were having such a good day. Like, we had 2 good days in a row. Like, let's throw a party.
If you're counting days,
you're
that's
done.
where signs leave.
Like, literally go. If you are ever measuring your relationship in good days, and we don't say that like, oh my god, we went to Six Flags today. We had such a good day. Like,
it's a day without arguing.
Yeah, like if most of the days are bad, so the good days are the ones that stand out, or the good days are days that you're desperately trying not to like ruin.
Yeah, you're just waiting on those good days.
Yeah, that's when you know.
Oh, I thought you had more with that. No, I
don't know what I started with.
You started with saying like that's just how your relationship was. Like so the whole thing was like passive aggressive.
Oh, yeah. So it's like hard to even identify moments because I just feel like
mine was too. Honestly, I feel like that was that, and like the gaslighting pieces, they a lot of times I think just like pair together.
Yeah.
But I feel like I always got the like, oh okay, like have fun, or like oh, you're wearing that? Okay.
That
one killed me.
This is a great time to talk about what you wanted to talk about two truths existing at the same time.
Yeah.
Because these
There are examples for that.
are the kind of situations where it's like once I was provoked and once I had been treated like this pretty consistently, I give it right back. Like
Yeah.
my favorite thing is the different spellings of okay if you're texting. So like okay means I'm mad, but okay AY means I'm not mad.
Yep.
So like I would do that all the time. He'd be like, "All right, I'm going to bed," and I'd say like "K" or "Okay."
I did that too.
And it's like you feed into it, so it's like, was I being passive aggressive too?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Like, and could I have avoided that in that situation?
Yeah.
Probably. I probably would have felt like shit if I didn't.
It is really hard though. Like if you again, when you're in this situation, it's typically not a one-off. Like this is happening to you day in and day out in different forms maybe, but it's like when you're like beat down all the time or you are walking on eggshells and you feel like, okay, what's the next conversation going to be like? Are they going to try to gaslight me? Are they going to be rude to me? Are they going to make me feel bad about myself? Like it's so hard to not stoop to that same level because you already feel like shit. So
Yeah.
it's like when you feel like shit, you usually kind of like project that just like anything else. Like if you're filled with self-love and confidence, like you usually treat people kinder, you don't feel jealous, you don't like make comments like this. So I just want to say like a lot of this is it's easier said than done. And
Yeah.
we know that.
And there's often a narrative that like in an abusive relationship, one partner is 100% to blame and the other person does nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can both admit that that's not true. Just
Yeah.
because we acted that way doesn't make us abusive partners. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
I
yeah,
think
no.
a lot of people tend to have the outlook of like, well, you did this back, so that
Mhm.
makes you just as bad. And a lot of these like self-defense techniques almost are like you don't have a choice at that point.
Right. It's like you're coping with
Yeah.
it. And I think an easy way to identify that too is like, well, who is not like who started it? But it kind of is like, well, who's the person like starting these arguments every
Yeah.
single day? Like who's the one that does have the power in the relationship, who's kind of like manning this ship of I don't know, fucking disastrous seas. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I think so yeah, two truths can coexist and that's something that's really important in these conversations because a lot of people think you you can be upset but like there can still be a solution kind of thing. Like you don't need to just have one like, oh, I have wrote down examples. We can have hard conversations and stay safe for each other.
Yeah.
We can be sexually attracted and not want to have sex every day. We can feel triggered and remain calm while expressing the trigger. We can acknowledge someone is doing their best and request a change.
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of perceiving it more literally like on two sides of an argument too.
Well, that too.
So it's like you can be upset and I can be upset at the same time and we could have both done things in the wrong, but that doesn't mean that like that doesn't excuse actions. Or like
Yeah.
say I got in an argument with my partner because he did something wrong
Mhm.
and I said this upset me and then I continued to treat him like shit for the next week.
Mhm.
He has every right to apologize to me and then say I fucked up, but the way you treated me was not fair.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing. Like it's ands or buts. Like just having like an and with it. I think is just really helpful because yeah, you don't have to just like put blame on one person or one situation. Like you can request changes or express your feelings with it. And yeah, I think that is a good example too. Like just yeah, we both handled this the wrong way. But we're gonna be okay. Things like that too. And I think it does just help in pointing out like you can have healthy conversations even if it is something like super upsetting.
Yeah.
Or someone did something wrong and you are just like pissed at them. Like you can be pissed, but still be
Make
respectful.
progress too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there has to be, like, you can't change what's already happened and been acknowledged and someone took accountability for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know, like, bringing past things up is another really common form of just kind of
Yeah.
emotional manipulation. And it's like, if I did something wrong, I am going to apologize. I'm going to admit that I did something wrong. I'm going to say I won't do it again. But there's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely nothing I can do to change what's already happened. So we
Yeah.
need to move forward. And a lot of times when partners are being manipulative, they will hold on to something and they will constantly guilt you for
Mm-hmm.
that. And then if they're mistreating you, they'll say, "Well, you did this, so I'm acting this way." And it's like, there
Yeah.
has to be an understanding of things that can't change, and once accountability is taken, like, you need to be able to move on.
Actually, I have multiple things I want to say, but I do have another reality TV example for this that just happened. I think it's a good example of like, so on Summer House, okay, Jesse, I don't know, he's got to be like early 30s. He's a very tall, like tall, dark, and handsome kind of man. He's goofy, he's silly, he's flirty. All the girlies like love him. He's also just like obsessed with all the girls in the show. They're all living in one house together.
Mhm.
This new girl comes on, her name's Lexi. Okay. He immediately like love bombs her. He's like, this is my wife. The second he meets her, because she's a model and she's so beautiful. And she's super sweet too. Like, honestly, like, cute girl. And she was very clear with her boundaries. Like, I don't sleep with people that I am not in a relationship with or exclusive with. She's super, super close with her family. So she's like, if we're going to be seeing each other, we both need to meet each other's families. And like, that's something she wants to happen sooner rather than later. She basically like lives with her mom and her sister because they're on her like modeling team, or they're like her PR or something. And he was very much like, oh my God, I just met this girl and I don't want to just be exclusive immediately, but he clearly wants to sleep with her.
Yeah.
And he says, like, to everyone else in the house, like, this is going pretty fast. I don't want her to meet my parents. And then he ends up in a situation where it's crazy. So the cameras like don't go in this room, but basically someone else in the house is having a threesome, and Jesse goes into that room, and the clock, you watch it, 45 minutes pass. 45 minutes. And you hear he's like something like, yeah, suck my toe or something, and he's like, I'm hard. And that's some of the only audio that we get. But what are you doing in there for 45 minutes? I don't know. Anyways, everyone knows this but Lexi, because Lexi just wasn't there that weekend. He's also flirting with all the girls, specifically one girl actually. And the next weekend that they're at the house, or they're doing something during the week, whatever, some of the girls tell Lexi, like, hey, this happened. Okay. And she's like, what the fuck? He told me, like, there was nothing really. He was like, well, he did tell me that people said to him, it seems like you're flirting with this girl's here. And he was like, we're literally brother and sister. Like, I would never do that. Mind you, he is all over Sierra, okay? And she is also a model and insanely gorgeous. Like, all the girls are on the show, whatever. So they then go out to a club, and Lexi, we don't see footage of this, but it sounds like Lexi said that his best friend, Wes, she's holding him up because he's so drunk. So she's like, I'm literally just holding this guy up so we don't, like, he's drunk. Jesse, they get home, and he's like, you can tell. He's looking for something to throw back at her so that he's not in trouble anymore.
He's projecting what he knows he did wrong
Yep,
onto
yep,
her.
yep. So he's like, you were flirting with Wes, and like he's all upset about it. And she's like, wait, we should like talk about this because I wasn't flirting with him. And he's so jealous, but I'm like, I don't think he was jealous. He's playing fuck. He's trying to make it so it is like tit for tat. Like, you do something bad, and then we can forget about my bad thing instead of just like acknowledging it and moving on. He's literally like gaslighting her, and then created or took a situation and like tried to like flip it to his benefit. So that just reminded me of that, of like, you have to like, acknowledge and move on from things, because the second you start a tit for tat situation, or like she wasn't even doing a tit for tat, but he was trying to create one.
Yeah.
So that it like, clean slate, whatever. But like we haven't seen when they wake up yet. That was like the end of the episode last week. And I can't stop thinking about it. And everyone's like, this guy, so charming. Everyone loves him. All he's doing is love bombing her and like literally gaslighting her. And now the communication's like, he's saying it so lovey, like I love you, and like I see, like when I was flirting, it was like that 'cause we're like friends. Like that's what I think is gonna be
That's so
happening.
gross. I think this keeps
That's
happening
okay.
to me.
It's okay. Well, back on like you have to let it go and stuff like that, or the
It was about like like interpreting other people as flirting or being like threats to your relationship. I think that's also a really easy way
so
that
common.
abusive partners manipulate. Well, because it's like, well, I don't trust him around you. Like I don't like I know who he's like. I know what he's like. I know he's gonna want to do this, this, this. I know he's bad news. Like you shouldn't even be around him because he's gonna flirt with you, and they will literally turn another human being into a problem because it's projecting their own insecurity. And then I'm like, okay, well, why don't you trust me? Because I don't care if you trust this other person. You should trust me enough that it's not an issue.
Right.
And they're like, well, that's not how it works. Like, you don't understand.
No, babe, it's
like,
not
it's
you.
not
It's
like
really
that.
them.
Like, and that's just another way that, like, and then you're getting accused of flirting or cheating or whatever it is when you're in an innocent situation.
And that's how they slowly isolate you. Oh, you can't be around this person or around this person. Like, and it can be for so many different reasons. I've also heard a lot of like, well, like, I don't really like this friend of yours. It seems like she always has an opinion on us. I've definitely gotten that a lot.
I got, you're a bitch when you're around so and so because she's a bitch. Yeah. I was like, okay.
Yep. So then it's like when you get in fights if you get in an argument with your partner and you go to your girlfriend or your guy friend, whatever, and they, give their advice, which is probably like true and like right or something you need to hear. And then maybe later you go back and you're talking to your partner and you're like, well, I did talk to a few other people. Like, I really needed advice. And like, it kind of reaffirmed how I feel or whatever. Not to say like you need to bring other people into your arguments, but I do feel like that's really common. And again, they'll just be like, well, they're not good for you.
Well, she makes stuff up and, he just likes you. So, of course, he would say that.
Yeah.
And,
I think,
XYZ.
Yeah, a lot of times manipulative partners will not only be like manipulating you or saying things about you, but they will say things about your friends and family or just other people in your life, because if they create a mistrust between you and your loved ones, your bond becomes stronger, and then it's so much easier for them to continue to manipulate you because you don't have other people in your ear. You only hear them.
You're only perceiving what they're telling you, and then it's like that's how you get literally brainwashed. And when you're in these relationships like this, what starts with gaslighting becomes a complete corruption of your reality.
Exactly.
Like you have no idea what you're perceiving and what the truth is about anything, to the point where you literally just feel so confused and you realize like you only have this one person, and it's like, is anything they're telling me true?
And it's terrifying when you are in a position like that, and that's when, kind of back to the other episode we did of how to talk to a friend in this situation, when you are in this day in and day out and you become brainwashed and you lose your sense of self, and they have distanced you from your people, like you really can't see that you're in this situation, and that does just further like entrench you in abusive relationships and makes it 10 times harder to leave because you don't know you need to leave.
Exactly.
And that's so important and something people often miss. I think that was like, I can't think of other things that.
What's our next form of unhealthy communication?
Let's see. love bombing. We did a whole episode on love bombing.
We did.
But I guess quickly, just because I just talked about it anyways, it's someone like overwhelming you with love and affection and praise that just like builds your trust with them or love for them very quickly. And it's like you're kind of like hooked.
They make you feel like you're the person they've been waiting for their entire life, and they're gonna be like your entire world.
Literally from like the example I just gave, it was the first weekend he met this girl, and he was like, "I'm gonna marry you."
Like, that's not normal.
No, it's not normal. So yeah, I'll be like, yeah, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. Obviously that just plays into like, I think love bombing can also just be mixed in with like a lot of the other things we're talking about. And then it's like if they add on gifts and all these things that you really like. So it's like guilt tripping even more so, like, but I love you so much and I got you this ice cream today and like you really don't want to stay with me and like eat it and watch movies instead of going out with your girls. I know you had that plan, but like
it's entrapment.
Entrapment, wonderful. Oh, okay, this is the last one. Withholding or stonewalling. So it's punishing you by withdrawing communication or affection, and it's like forcing you to like earn it again, which actually goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning.
Yeah, this is the example I was giving where if
silent treatment.
Someone's intentionally not making time to have a conversation that needs to be had, like, you should never feel like your partner is punishing you.
Yes. And I feel like, honestly, that would happen to me a lot with Red Flag Ronnie because he would be like, Friday night would come around. Mind you, this happened like almost every Friday night of my like first couple years of college. Every Friday night, he would know like the plans are to go out with friends, and then he would try guilt tripping. And then when I didn't give into it, he would be like, fine, we're breaking up until you want to actually spend time with me and stay on a phone call with me on a Friday night instead of go out with your friends. And then, like, if I tried to reach out to him or call him, it would just be silence until, like, he couldn't take it anymore. But he'd be like, well, you need to prove to me that you love me. So, like, you're going to call me for at least an hour every night or, like, things like that.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to bed was for me, because that was saying, like, I'm done with this. I don't care if you need anything else out of this conversation. I'm cutting you off now. And you have to deal with that.
It hurts so bad, too.
It does, because all you want to do is fix things, and we're both fixers.
We are. Stonewalling, I think, hurts me more than anything else. You like if you withhold love from me and you're like, you don't deserve this love, I think that's just like that just hurts so bad. When you want to talk to the person you love, even if it is these awful situations and other people are like, well, why do you still want to talk to them so bad? To have those high highs in those low lows, when you are in those low lows, all you do is crave the high highs. It hurts so much worse.
I didn't feel that way. I don't feel like I had those high highs and low lows with
just
George
like
Bush.
Low,
it was
low.
Just like it was like under the bar and then like way under the bar and then back under just a little. But I feel like it wasn't as much the withholding love that got me as withholding a resolution, because it was always fine to start a problem, but it's always a difficult process to solve a problem.
So it would take so long.
Yes, and I was like, we would stay up until like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'd have class the next day, and I was like permanently exhausted. Like, I was so drained in this relationship, and like we would stay up and then go to bed, and things still really wouldn't be fixed because we went around in circles, we didn't get anywhere. He still made me feel bad about things, and you know, it just kept going. So it's like, I feel like I'm never having the security of like, okay, we solved a problem or we resolved an argument.
No, that would, I mean, yeah, I feel the same way with that. And if I had to do that right now, like, I would just lose my mind.
Yeah, I would
just
never
lose my absolute mind. I feel like we gave good examples for all of the like ways that people can manipulate you and just like unhealthy forms of communication. Those are definitely the most common. I guess one thing we didn't really touch upon is like social media and communication in that form, or like texting. I mean, we did a little bit, but anything that's happening in real life will be, very similar online. Like, people still have feelings even though it's through the phone. And I think a lot of times too, people try to use social media to control different things as well, or get upset with you about stuff. Like, if you're upset with someone for liking a different post or following someone, I think we should do a separate episode just on social media. But I think for now, just saying like anything that we've said for the in-person conversations, just apply that to online.
I want to go through, we got some responses to our question for this week.
And that's kind of a lot.
Yeah. And then we can break down like the most healthy ways to communicate, like kind of some of our tips and tricks.
Okay.
Do you feel like you still exhibit unhealthy communication? If so, how? Is this okay? I think we probably both definitely did in the beginnings of our current relationships. I think we've both probably grown out of it now, but I was definitely really hesitant to bring up any of my feelings when I was in the beginning of this relationship because I was so used to getting shut down or made to feel bad that I didn't communicate at all because that felt safer to me. And communicating was something we really worked on in my relationship, and we found what works best for us, which I think is the best thing you could do in any situation. Just kind of ask the other person what they need out of that situation. So
yeah, I've talked about this in season 1, but I was the toxic one in my first healthy relationship, which is my current relationship. We've been together 5 years, so I figured it out. But my first year was really not good. I did not believe anything he said to me. I also did not want to talk about my feelings, and I just assumed the worst of him all the time just because, well, for me, like, my first unhealthy relationship, I was 14. And I literally, from my freshman year of high school to my junior year of college, I was in back to back unhealthy relationships. So when you are walking on eggshells for years of your life, it is very hard to even imagine that you can be in a relationship and not feel like that.
yeah.
So I guess it took me a while, but he was really great with me and would just say, like, you can't keep doing this. I love you so much, but you are bringing past stuff in here, and like, I have never once done something to lose your trust or, to make you feel unsafe or unloved. So, like, we have to figure this out. And then I went to therapy and it got better.
Perfect. What does manipulation look like in conversation? I think a lot of the first half of this was really diving into that. But just like twisting words, not letting things go, I think doing or saying things that will intentionally hurt the other person and you know that is a big one because like if you're with a partner and you've been with that partner, they're gonna know what triggers you or what upsets you. And if they're intentionally doing those things, that's a big form of manipulation.
Yeah, I also think too, just in general, manipulation is to gain power or control. So I think if you can understand that that is at the core of it, when someone's talking to you and it really feels like they have the upper hand, but you don't know why. I feel like that's
a
like,
great example.
thank you so much. That just came to me. I feel like that's definitely a way you can check in with yourself.
Yeah, or I think a lot of times when you feel like that person has all the control, but they don't care as much as you do, that's a big indicator too. Like if you're really working to find a resolution to something and the other person just doesn't seem to be putting in that effort, I think a lot of times that comes from a manipulative standpoint.
And if it's always on you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, our last question. Do you feel there is such a thing as too much communication? And then maybe this one can lead us into like our healthy communication.
I mean, my gut wants to be like, there's never too much communication. But I do think like, sure, there could be too much if it's in the sense of you can't let something go.
Yes.
Like, if you have to keep talking about this over and over and over again, or being like, are we okay? Are we okay? To the extent which your partner is like, we have gone through this a couple times now, and like, we've both checked in with each other and agreed that it feels resolved. We both feel good. We both know how we're like moving forward. I feel like that's a sign of like, if you feel like you need it so much and you can't like get over something, then really like ask yourself why, and sit with those feelings and thoughts. Like, why can't you move past this one? And maybe it's some like inner work you need to do.
Yeah, I think too much communication occurs when it reflects insecurity on behalf
Exactly.
of one or both of the people. So if you feel the need to ask like every single thing your partner's doing, like I think that's a
Oh
form of
yeah.
over communicating. So like say
That's a little controlling.
yeah,
Like needing to know everything all the time.
yeah, like we have like a travel rule in my relationship. Like if you're getting in your car and going somewhere, let me know when you get there. Or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
let me know when
yeah.
you're leaving there. But it's
Same.
like if you're going to work, I don't need to know when you're taking your lunch break, when you're going to the printer,
Yeah.
when you're going pee. Like
Same
none of
with going out. I just
yes.
don't need to know.
No, like if like I go to the bar, I'm gonna tell you exactly when I get there. I'm gonna tell you when we're getting in the Uber. I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you when we're getting there, and then if I have something fun to say, I'm gonna tell
Yeah,
you. I'm
something
gonna be like,
exciting happens.
"There's a guy dressed like a cowboy. Like this is crazy."
Yes. He's been there.
Are you serious?
He's been there since I was
The
gone.
really tall, skinny one?
Yes.
I saw him for the first time this past weekend, and I was like, "Howdy."
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So that kind of thing, or it's like so and so just spilled their whole drink, or so and so were in a fight, like whatever. If there's something interesting you have to tell me, great.
Sure.
But like I don't have to update you
Like every 5 minutes.
we played pool and now we're getting a drink and then we're gonna move to the dance floor. Like that's not necessary. And if someone's asking that of you, not only is that unhealthy, but I do think that's over communicating. And if someone is not asking, but someone is giving you that, I think that's an indicator that they're feeling insecure from something else in one of their
1000%.
relationships. So
they're
even
like, are
if,
you cheating on me? Like that's the underlying tone
yes,
of the messages.
or if they say they go out and they tell you every single thing they're doing, you can very much say like, hey, I care that you're safe, but I don't want you to feel like you have to tell me all these things because I do trust you.
Exactly. You should be able to just like go and do the things you have to do throughout the day, and maybe send a couple of like cute texts or like check-ins, or yeah, if you have some kind of like time agreement, I think, or travel agreement. Is that what you called it?
Yep.
Time travel, yeah.
Time travel
agreement.
I'm going back to 1984. I'll let you know when I'm home.
I think that's very common to have in relationships. But yeah, I think if there is too much communication, I also disagree with the lack of insecurity. I'm literally laughing. I'm sitting here laughing because I sent Kay, I found old screenshots of Red Flag Ronnie, of when I would go out and I like wouldn't reply, and it would be after a moment where he was like, this is it, I'm not talking to you. And I have, these are literally just like in a row. So when are you going to respond? Question. These are all different text messages. When are you going to respond? Question mark. Babe, answer. Hello? I will fight you. Fucker. Maya Kermela. Like, you can't even spell my last name. Answer me now. Can you just answer? Fuck. And that was like, you can see it cuts off. Like, who knows how many more that went. And then beside that too, phone calls, there were literally how many? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 in a row. What's 8 plus 7? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 calls in a row.
That's insane.
At the same time as those texts. And that was in the span of like an hour. So I would say that's too much communication.
That's too much communication. That's overdoing it a little bit. I'm having a problem because one of my friends texted me. She said, "Are you still accepting questions for this episode?" And I thought I said yes, but then I disconnected from my entire network.
Oh, like there might be one on Instagram.
There might be, yeah.
Let me go see. That's like live action. I love this. yeah, what does healthy/unhealthy communication look like in your friendships? Oof, maybe we should have another friendship
Yeah, I think we
episode.
should refer back to that one. To be
We
honest,
have like 3.
yeah. Is there one
But
this season?
no, but I will say everything that we have said applies to every relationship in your life.
Yes,
Like,
it's not just romantic.
yeah, respect, like just being kind, listening to others, respecting other people's feelings, also like listening to your own feelings and your like gut.
Mhm.
And just actually like what you know in your memory. I think having all of that in any conversation is so important. Like, you should always just be able to say how you feel. You should be able to set boundaries with people. You should be able to communicate your wants and needs, which requires understanding them. And, like, that's a whole other thing. But if somebody, doesn't respect your wants and needs or your boundaries in any way, like, no matter what relationship you're in, that's going to be unhealthy. That's going to be unhealthy communication. But if you can do those things and, like, your timing's good, your tone's kind, turf is good, you're in a safe location or a comfortable environment, I think all of that just sets you up for success.
Yeah, so timing, tone, turf are the main ones we talk about for healthy communication, but let's not hurt. There, I feel like what else did we talk about in terms of like how to healthy communicate? Knowing what the other person needs. So like those are your
Mhm.
kind of timing things.
And you ask, like,
Yes.
no matter who it is, ask that person, what do you need in a serious conversation, an uncomfortable conversation, and maybe an argument or a disagreement? Like, what makes you feel safe in these moments? What is the best way I can communicate with you?
Yes.
Do you need time? Do you need like a comfort, like a blanket or like a whatever. Like, some people actually just want something physical with them, or knowing that they're gonna be able to see like their mom after, call their
Yeah.
mom, like, you know what I mean? I feel like just asking people what they need.
Communicating about how to have healthy communication is one of the things I think you can't communicate too much about, if that makes sense. So, like,
Yeah.
explaining everything you need to have a successful conversation is one of those things where I don't think anyone who loves and cares about you is gonna feel
Mhm.
like you're doing too much. Like, if
Yeah.
you're saying, look, we need to do, these 4 things, and that's the best way for me to have a productive and functional conversation. What are your
Mhm.
list of things? There's
Yeah.
absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not, and I do think that that's what you need to have a successful, healthy relationship. Like, for me, I can do it pretty much in the moment. Maybe I need 10 minutes to gather my thoughts, but I'm usually really quick with like what I need and want and the feelings I have towards something that just happened. But that also took me years to get to
Yeah.
a point like that. I think everyone should have a coping skill that they can use in any moment if you're getting worked up. So, like, for me, that's just going to be like breathing or meditating. That's something I can do in a couple of minutes and feel good before a conversation and or during and or after. I personally want like all of your attention. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want phones or you like on something or a show in the background. Like, I want
Yeah.
your undivided attention so I know you're listening to me. I want eye contact. I want a calm tone. And if it's my boyfriend, like, I actually want him to be like touching me or like next to me. And I think that does stem from my past relationships. Like, I want him holding my hand when he's talking to me. So I still feel like, even though I know he loves me, but it's like that helps me be like, you're still with me and you're also safe to me. So I think it just depends. Like, some people don't want you to touch them at all.
I'm that way. It's like, before we have this conversation, can we have a hug? And I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna talk about this, and then that physical contact is gonna come when I feel like the solution has, come out of this.
Totally. So again, like, just reflect on what you need. Maybe we can post some like journal prompts or something so people can figure out what they need in a situation. But yeah, I mean, we said so much today.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone will get like a bit and piece that relates to them.
I think the most important thing is remembering how a conversation with a person you love should feel. It It should never make you feel bad. You should never feel like you don't respect them. Like, I can, as mad as I am at my partner, I always feel upset about the fact that I'm mad about something because I love him. And it's like, you shouldn't feel good or like get gain out of being angry at someone you really care about, and vice versa. They shouldn't feel that way, and you should remember that arguments contribute to you guys growing, but at the end of the day, like, communication should come from the fact that you love that person and you want to be able to resolve the issue with them.
Yeah, and like celebrate that successful conversation after. Like, go get an ice cream, have that hug, go on a walk, watch your favorite movie, whatever it is. Like, it is an accomplishment, and it is something that I think you should be proud of yourself for in all of your relationships and for as long as you live. Like, that's a skill that is so invaluable.
And it does get so much easier for like anyone coming from unhealthy relationships. Like, I genuinely never thought I would be okay sharing everything I feel with another person at any given moment, let alone a partner.
Right.
And it's like, you will see so much growth when the time is right. You just kind of have to hold on and, once again, do the work on yourself. Make sure you're practicing those, thoughtful methods of talking to other people, and it'll pay off.
Yeah, and if you're doing all of those things and your partner does not meet you there, that is when it's time to get help.
Exactly.
You don't have to keep trying forever.
And that's not your fault.
Yeah, it's not your fault at all if you're doing everything you can. Okay. We love you. Follow us on Instagram at dearmk.podcast
and on TikTok at dearmkps. We'll see you next time. We love you.
1 full hour, that's the longest we've done.
Till next time, XOXO MK.